You know what? Coming from a small town is not just about location. It's about mindset. It's about growing up in a place where people don't dream big. Not because they can't, but because they've never seen what big looks like. It's about being surrounded by the same streets, the same conversations, the same expectations, until your mind starts believing that this is all there is. And that's dangerous. Because a small town doesn't just limit your opportunities, it can limit your imagination. It builds invisible walls around your thinking. You start believing that life is supposed to look a certain way. Get a stable job, stay close to home, play it safe, don't take risks. Not everyone falls into that trap, but a lot of people do, and slowly, without even realizing it, their world becomes smaller and smaller. I came from a place like that, a small town in Indiana, around 8,000 people. Everybody knew everybody. There were only a handful of black families. And most people had their life planned out before they even understood what life really was. The goal was simple: get a job at the local plant, buy a house near your parents, and live the same life you saw growing up. That was the definition of success there. But something didn't sit right with me. Deep down, I felt it. This quiet voice telling me that there had to be more. More than just repeating the same cycle. More than just existing inside a box that I didn't choose. But here's the problem. When you've never seen more, it's hard to believe in more. Your mind can only stretch as far as your exposure. And if you've never been outside your environment, physically or mentally, you don't even realize how much you're missing. That's where ignorance is born. That's where judgment comes from. People judge what they don't understand. They fear what they haven't experienced. They build opinions based on limited information, and then defend those opinions like they're facts. Not because they're bad people, but because their world is small. And if you're not careful, that same thing will happen to you. Your mind will close, your dreams will shrink, your potential will suffocate. So at some point, you have to make a decision. You either stay where you are, or you expand. And expansion is uncomfortable. It requires you to step outside everything that feels familiar. It requires you to question the beliefs you were raised with. It forces you to see the world differently, and more importantly, to see yourself differently. For me, it started with a dream. Now listen carefully. Dreaming alone is not enough. Dreams are dangerous if you let them control you. If all you do is dream without action, you become a prisoner of your own imagination. But if you use dreams as a direction, as a vision, then they become powerful. I didn't want to stay in that small town mentally, even if I was physically still there. I started imagining a different version of myself. Someone stronger, someone more disciplined, someone who didn't accept limits just because they were handed to him. But imagining it wasn't enough. I had to step into it. And that's where the real journey begins. Because becoming better is not an event, it's a process. A long, painful, never-ending process. There are no shortcuts. There are no quick fixes. There is only work. And that work will break you. It will expose your weaknesses. It will test your patience. It will push you to points where quitting feels like the only option. For most people, that's where the story ends. They hit resistance, and they stop. They feel pain, and they walk away. They get uncomfortable, and they retreat back to what's familiar. But for me, that was just the beginning. Pain became my starting point. Struggle became my teacher, and discomfort became my training ground. That's when I stopped looking at other people like they were something special. I stopped putting them on pedestals. I stopped believing that they had something I didn't. Because when you really look closely, you realize something powerful. They're just people. Yes, some are more disciplined. Some are more focused. Some have pushed themselves further than you have. But they're not superhuman. And that realization changes everything, because if they can do it, so can you. But here's the difference. Most people spend their lives talking about what they want to do. Very few actually go out and do it. I chose action. I stopped explaining myself. I stopped waiting for motivation. I stopped looking for approval. And I started working. I didn't learn about mental toughness from books. I didn't sit in a classroom trying to understand the mind. I threw myself into real situations. Hard situations. Situations where there was no escape. Where the only options were to adapt or to break. And in those moments, I started learning who I really was. I started understanding how my mind worked under pressure. I started discovering tools, not from theory, but from experience. Because there's a big difference between knowing something and living it. Anyone can read about pain, but not everyone can endure it. Anyone can talk about discipline, but not everyone can practice it consistently. That's why I became obsessed with pushing myself. I did things most people wouldn't even consider. I challenged my body over and over again. I pushed it until it hurt. Then I pushed it even further. Just like doing thousands of pull-ups builds calluses on your hands, doing hard things every day builds calluses on your mind. And those mental calluses protect you. They make you stronger. They make you harder to break. Because once you've experienced real discomfort, normal challenges don't scare you anymore. And that's when everything starts to change. Because now, you're not reacting to life, you're controlling it. Your mind is everything. It controls how you react, how you push, how long you last when things get hard. And the truth is, most people have never trained it. They depend on motivation, music, people, something external to keep them going. But what happens when all that disappears? What happens when it's just you, alone? That's where the real test begins. Because in silence, your mind starts working against you. It tells you to quit. It tells you you've done enough. And if you're not strong, you'll listen. That's why you have to build internal strength. Because life isn't always loud. Sometimes it's quiet. And those quiet moments are where people break. But if you can stay there, if you can fight through that, you become different. You become dangerous. I had to learn how to create energy from nothing. No motivation, no hype, just me pushing myself forward. That's where I developed the mindset of taking souls. Not about hurting people, but about gaining an edge. When everyone is tired, exhausted, ready to quit, that's your moment. That's when you go harder. That's when you separate yourself. While others slow down, you push forward. That's how you become uncommon. I used to look at people and think they were on another level, stronger, better, untouchable. But once I stayed in the fight, I realized the truth. They just didn't quit, so I didn't quit either. And eventually, I caught up. Then I passed them. That's when I understood. Mental toughness is not permanent. It's a skill. And if you don't train it, you lose it. That's why you have to push yourself every day. Not when you feel like it, every day. Because the moment you get comfortable, you start falling behind. And as you grow, people around you will change. They'll remind you of your past. They'll try to pull you back. Because your growth makes them uncomfortable. Most people fail because they care too much about what others think. They live inside other people's opinions. But you can't do that. You have to block the noise. Because most negativity comes from people projecting their own fears. They're telling you what they couldn't do, not what you can't do. So use it. Every doubt, every insult, store it. Turn it into fuel. When things get hard, go back to it. Let it push you. Because at the end of the day, it's just you. No one is coming to save you. You have to build belief, real belief. Not from words, but from proof. From doing hard things. From pushing through failure. From showing yourself that you can survive. That's how confidence is built. And once you have that, you stop doubting. You start moving with purpose. And even when you fail, you don't break. Because you've built something strong inside you. And it all comes down to discipline. Doing what you don't want to do. Showing up when you don't feel like it. Pushing when you're tired. Because that's what builds strength. So stop waiting. Stop overthinking. Take control. Push yourself. Adapt to every situation. And remember, you're never done. Don't stop when you're tired. Stop when you're done. Stay uncommon among uncommon people. And keep going. Stay hard.